Hi everyone, today we are going to do a recap of how to solve systems by substitution. We already did some of this in class, so let's just recap. Substitution is another method we can use to solve systems, and this strategy is where you can replace a variable with an equivalent or with an equation, equivalent equation. Okay, and we'll see what that means. So I'm sorry to do this again, but we need to change this problem. It's too similar to the one in class. Let's change this first equation to x plus 4y is equal to -8. I'm going to change the second equation to 5x minus 4y is equal to -16. Okay, so step one for this strategy, again, is to number the equations. We have two equations in our system, 1 and 2. Step two is to get a variable isolated or by itself on one side of the equation or of the equal sign in one of the equations. So let's look. Looks like equation number 1 is going to be way easier to get x by itself. Look at how x is just a simple variable. It doesn't have a coefficient. I won't have to divide later. So to get x by itself on one side of the equation, all I need to do is subtract 4y over. So my hint here, my strategy was get x isolated. This is the equation I'm going to use to isolate one of my variables. So now x, this cancels out, is equal to -8 minus 4y. This one's nice. Now that I've already isolated one of the variables, I don't need to do that in my other equation. I just need to do it for one equation, as it says in step 2. So I'm just going to copy down equation 2 and leave it as that. Okay? Now, step 3 is to substitute the equation that I just solved for, the x that I solved for, into the other equation. So let me show you what I mean by that. And we've seen this in class. So that means everywhere there's an x in my second equation, it only shows up once, I'm going to replace it with this expression that I found that's equal to x, okay? So instead of writing x here, let's rewrite the equation. So for equation 2, we have 5, and then I'm going to write an open parentheses, minus 4y is equal to -16. What I just did was, instead of writing the x, I'm writing an open set of parentheses. Because in that parentheses, I'm going to write this piece here, which is what I found in my equation 1. This expression is equivalent to x, so I'm replacing it for x into my equation 2. That was step 3, just substituting. Step 4 is to simplify the substitution. I'm going to start simplifying in blue. Okay, so this is an equation that we've seen before, okay? To simplify, I see that I need to distribute the 5 because there's an open set of parentheses with of some of the terms inside. So 5 times -8 plus 5 times -4y, and then I'm going to bring this down, minus 4y is equal to -16. Okay, I'm just showing my distribution, and now let's make this simple. 5 times -8 is -40. 5 times -4y is -20y. So plus -20y, bring down my minus 4y is equal to -16. Now, can I simplify that further? Take a look at that equation. That's a lot of terms. Yes, I can. There are like terms that I can put together. I can put together -20y and -4y. When I add those two together, I have a total of -24y. Okay, bring down my -40 and the plus sign, is equal to negative 16. Can that simplify more? Yeah, we can solve for y and all that, but without moving any terms to the other side, without using inverse operations, this equation here that I'm going to box in green is my simplified equation. That is step 4. Okay, so step 4 is done. We're not done yet with solving the system by substitution because I still don't have the xy coordinate where the equations cross. That's what we're trying to find. So in step 5, we are going to solve for the unknown variable in this green equation from step 4. So from step 4, I'm solving that equation now. So I'm going to rewrite it in black. Copying this equation, negative 40 plus negative 24y is equal to negative 16. And what's the variable I'm trying to solve for? Well, there's only one variable in this equation. It's the y. I need to get y by itself. I have a negative 24 next to it, and then I have a negative 40 being added to that term. So let's solve. The first step is to remove the outer layer of the onion. So to get rid of this negative 40 in the outer layer, I need to add 40. That's the inverse operation. And I'm lining it up with negative 16 because these are like terms. On the left here, the negative 40 cancels out with 40. I'm bringing down my negative 24y is equal to negative 16 plus 40 is 24. Have I solved for y yet? No. There's still a negative 24 on the outside here, next to the y. So to get that isolated, I need to divide by negative 24. Because a number next to a variable means that it's being multiplied, so the inverse operation is division. Divide by negative 24. These cancel, and we get y is equal to negative 1. I'm sorry it didn't fit in the box, but that was supposed to be step 5. Step 5 was to solve for the variable in the equation that we simplified, and we just solved for it. We solved that y is equal to negative 1. That was step 5. Step 6, okay? First of all, are we done? Did we solve this system? No, only having a y coordinate is not going to help me because on a graph, when we graph two equations, we should see a coordinate. That's an x and a y value that we need. So now I need to find the x value. So step 6 says use the answer you found and substitute again into an original equation. Now, some of you guys might be thinking, whoa, there's so many steps for me to remember. A lot of these steps are really, really tiny steps, okay? We just want to list it out so you make sure you don't miss anything. But once you get the hang of it, you don't need to think of this as 8 different steps, okay? Some of these steps just come naturally. So step 6, use the answer you found, so use the y equals negative 1, and substitute it again into an original equation. That means I can plug in negative 1 into either equation 1 from the very top or equation 2. I'm going to choose equation 1 because it just looks like an easier equation. So equation 1, I'm just going to copy that again, was x plus 4y is equal to negative 8. And what I need to do is I solved for y here. So I'm substituting my y with negative 1. So I'm going to rewrite this equation. Now instead of writing the y, I'm going to have an open set of parentheses. Make room for what needs to be replaced there. Because y is negative 1, I'm replacing this y with negative 1. That was step 6. We substitute. And now step 7 is to solve for the variable that we don't know in this equation. Well, let's just clean this up first. There's a lot of things happening. So x plus, 4 times negative 1 is negative 4 is equal to negative 8. Here's an equation, and what do we realize we need to solve for in this equation? There's only one variable I need to solve for, which is x. That's exactly what I need to finish this problem. So to get x by itself, I'm going to circle the x, and then there's a plus a negative 4 on the outside. To get rid of that negative 4, the inverse operation is adding 4 on both sides. And now I have x, these cancel out, is equal to negative 8 plus 4, which is negative 4. Am I done? Do I have an x and a y to write my coordinate, my solution? Yes, I do. So write your solution is step 8. Remember, the solution is an xy coordinate. So let's write our sentence. The solution to this system is, and then my x was equal to negative 4, and my y was equal to negative 1, right, as we see here. So I would write that on top first so that you know that the coordinate is then negative 4 comma negative 1. Why do we write the sentence? Well, this is going to help us when we do word problems where sentences are required in our solution. If you have any questions, write them down below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.